What sparked my interest in Bruce Springsteen, I think, or my deep abiding lifetime interest in Bruce, was seeing him play a show on the Darkness on the Edge of Town tour in 1978 in Seattle. I just think the guy's a brilliant, fascinating artist who is written a lot about both the good and the bad and the truly, truly ugly in his life and society and in the world. And to me, it just seemed like he was an important American artist who sort of needed to be understood in the context of his life and his times. After about a year and a half of working on the book, I got a call out of the blue from Bruce's manager, John Landau, and he said, you know, maybe we should have a talk. And I said, great, I have plenty of time to talk. So I spent the next year and a half essentially being able to talk with everyone from the E Street Band up through every member of his family and to Bruce himself. And you know, one of the great sort of treats along the way was being able to spend a couple days talking to Clarence Clemons just a few weeks before he passed away in 2011. And I believe that may have been the last significant interview that he gave in the course of his life. One of the great tragedies in Bruce's family life actually took place a long time before he was born, when his father's older sister, who was at the time a 5-year-old named Virginia Springsteen, was playing on her tricycle around the corner from her parents' house and was hit by a truck and killed. And the absence of the little girl in their house defined the existence of that family for Bruce's father's entire childhood. And when he grew up and got married and Bruce came along, he and his wife and Bruce, and then Bruce's younger sister, Ginny, who was born 14 months after he was, moved back into the grandparents' house. And Bruce, in the eyes of his grandparents, became a replacement for the child that they lost. And it created a very strange kind of chemistry in the family. Bruce was made to represent this girl who had passed away many, many years earlier, quite tragically, and grew up with this sense both of expectation and of being in some ways chosen to be something. One of the things about Bruce that's interesting is that for most of his childhood he was very much a loner, very set aside from the others. When he went to Catholic school as a little boy, his clothes didn't look right, he didn't act in a normal way, he hadn't been, as he said to me, socialized, didn't know how to sit still in class, didn't know any of the usual things that you learn from growing up in an ordinary family, because his family was nothing like ordinary. And so he learned very early to exist in his own mind and to sort of observe things from the edge, but at the same time that he was developing this kind of writer's mentality of being able to watch things happen and take something from that, he was also feeling very isolated, of course, from all the other kids who didn't include him in their games and talk to him. And so it created this thirst and this sense of the importance of community. When you see him up on stage and he's talking about, you know, nobody wins unless everybody wins, and getting the audience up on their feet and you know, and getting them to sort of think and feel and experience this thing as one. That's coming from a very deep place inside him, that it's nothing close to just pat showbiz stuff. These are very real, visceral sort of appetites that he's had his entire life. And the fact that he has somehow been born with the ability to write music and create and be a showman in a way that brings people together like that is, you know, one of the great miracles of existence.